Thursday. It's the Thursday edition of the Data Roundtable for all of us to get together, all these data professionals to get together and talk about all things data, data science, AI, analytics, whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm here for it. I think it'll be fun for us to meet and just see where the conversation takes us. I've been doing this format for almost 3 weeks now. I have a 3 week streak going here. I did take one day off last week, but you're welcome to join me so where we can talk about anything you'd like. Anything you'd like that is affecting your life as a data professional. So if you have an interesting article, white paper, tool, a project you're working on, a school thing you're doing, this is the place for it. I walk in here with no agenda and basically just see where the conversation takes us. Now today, you might notice I'm doing something a little bit differently. I am using the vertical streaming format. I just thought I'd mix it up today. I keep on hearing and seeing different pieces of advice and opinions about the different streaming capabilities that are out there. So I thought, hey, let me try something new. So I'm on a different camera. I'm on a different phone than I usually am. Pretty sure my audio is, actually my audio is a little bit different too because I don't have my big microphone. But let me know how the quality is. Let me know how you're doing. Just feel free to say hello. I'm just holding space here and just letting us see where the conversation goes. So I'm going to adjust my camera just a little bit. Let me adjust my camera. Okay. I think that's better. All right. In the chat already, we have our good friend 619. 619, thanks for coming back. You're turning into such a great supporter. Thanks so much. 619 is our friend from Thailand, and he says, hello, Sir Dennis. How are you doing? I'm doing well, thank you. Doing very well. I got a little bit of a late start this morning. I slept so good last night that I actually woke up late. But yeah, no, I'm doing really well. I'm going to do my streaming today, and then I got some client projects to work on for later. I got some personal items I want to take care of, as far as, my own research and my own work. But otherwise, I am doing great. How are you? Let me know how you're doing. Hopefully you're staying cool out there in Thailand. I think it's kind of warm in Thailand right now, so let me know how you're doing. Yeah, so for anybody else in the chat, feel free to say hello. Feel free to introduce yourself or ask a question or talk about something you're working on, anything that's interesting. Just let me know what's going on. Let me know what's going on in your life. Let me know just what you want to add to the conversation. Again, it's an open format, no set agenda from day to day. We'll just see what comes up. So for me, one of these personal items that I'm mentioning that I have to work on later is CES. CES is coming up. That is the Consumer Electronics Show. For those of you who don't know, it's the biggest show of its kind. And basically anything related to electronics, robotics, automotive, AI, whatever, is coming up. I had to cut my CES short last year, but they just put out the call for speakers, and I think I'm going to try to be a speaker at CES this year. So I'm looking forward to filling out that application later today. The applications just came out. Either way, I'm going to be at the show because I do qualify as media. So I'm going to get a media pass. I'm going to go to the show and I'm going to bring coverage just like I did last year. But yeah, we're going to be working on that later today. So it'll be exciting to see what type of conversation I can put out there. Casual Economist, our good friend Casual Economist says, you switched to vertical streaming on YT. Casual Economist, I thought I'd try something new. Just see how it goes. I have to be careful because there's some things that I can talk about, some things I can't talk about. But YouTube has done a really great job of reaching out to creators and creating these boot camps and these like special courses for us. And I'm in this, previously I was in this boot camp for vertical streaming, specifically vertical streaming is something YouTube really wanted to kind of help people with. So I did that, like, I guess you could say at the beginning of the year. And then they're still encouraging us to keep going on vertical. And I think they basically, I want to be careful here. Um, they're really making it easy for you to go on vertical. Let me put it that way. I'm experimenting with it right now, and just see how it goes. Just see how it goes. Um, but yeah, credit to YouTube for all the cool stuff they're doing. There is another campaign kicking off on August 1st, so in about a week. That will be interesting. They actually just sent me a new T-shirt. I haven't opened yet, but they sent us pretty cool T-shirts for this other contest they did over the summer. Well, it's still summer. Earlier in the summer, I should say. So yeah, so I just thought I thought I'd switch over to vertical, see how it is. Just give it a go, right? It's good to try new things, right? I mean, that's part of the scientific mind. You can't get stuck in your ways. So just thought I'd try it. What do you think, casual economist? I mean, if you guys want to give me some feedback, let me know. I am using a different microphone. I think this camera on this particular phone is not as crisp as the other ones because this is the front-facing camera and it's a completely different phone. But yeah, if you guys want to give me any feedback on that, but I just thought I'd try it. You know, it's good to try new things. But anyways, what's going on with you guys? What's going on in your world? Casual economist, I hope you're completely recovered from the cold or whatnot that you had last week. But yeah, it's gonna be a beautiful day out here. Really nice morning out when I took my dog to the dog park, and I ran some really good client calls yesterday. Casual economist says the mic has some pop to it. Okay, thank you for that. Gonna double check my connections here. It might be time for a new microphone. I may have to reconsider my current microphone setup, but thank you for that feedback, casual economist. Let me know if it gets to be, too distracting or whatnot. But yeah, if you guys have any of that other type of feedback, let me know. It's not always easy to do the vertical streaming because of the front-facing camera, and this is an older iPhone, so it doesn't have the USB interface like the newer iPhones have. But you do what you can you do the best you can with what you have, right? So later today, I'll also be pushing out some of the content I have around resumes. I finished that piece of content yesterday, so I'm going to be pushing that out later this morning, I believe, or maybe I'll have to wait till tomorrow. I'm not sure, but really want to help people with their resumes because I keep on seeing the same problems over and over again, and there's really just with some minor modifications, you really can increase your probability of success with your resume. So looking forward to putting that out and seeing people's reaction to it and see if it sparks any conversation or any other ideas. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the 619. 619 says a lot of rain here. Yesterday was a fun discussion. Yeah, 619. I mean, well, first of all, I hope you're staying dry out there in Thailand. I do hear that it's the rainy season or the monsoon season, right? We have a monsoon season here in August too. But yeah, yesterday was indeed a fun discussion, and that's kind of the interesting part of the data roundtable format, right? You never know what's going to happen on any given discussion, so that's what you do. But yesterday was definitely interesting. Obviously, a lot of things covered, but I think what sticks in my mind the most was that whole discussion around quant or being a quant or fintech or kind of the different ways that Siddhant put it. Very, very different You know, it's hard for me to imagine a field where what they actually do versus what people think they do are so completely different, because they really are significantly different, right? So it does make me wonder about people as far as like, well, do you really know what you're getting into when you're talking about fintech? Do you really know what you're getting into when you're talking about a quant career? I don't know. I don't know. It's um, it's just something that you don't know until you do it, right? Not to mention the fact that nobody talks about this, that it is very, very, very hard to break into a quant position from the outside. Like, it is exceedingly rare for somebody to hire you for a quant position without having worked with you before, right? Very hard to get that from the outside. Most of the quants that I know come in like, they get like promoted from within, right? 619 says, I didn't catch up yesterday. What's exactly fintech or quant? So 619, basically it's fintechs and quants refer to being a data scientist in general, but you're focused on financial data. That's basically what it means, right? Or sometimes you hear it called financial engineering. Like there's some schools that offer degrees in financial engineering. Excuse me, sorry. Right, so financial engineering would be that. Would be I apply data science, the methodology, and the algorithms, but to financial data. So when people hear that, they usually think, oh, well, that means I'll be trading stocks and I'll be looking for patterns and I'll be using indicators and stuff like that, right? Basically, the stuff you pick up from YouTube or whatever, right? And while there is some of that, and there's better fields for something like that, that's not really what most quants do in large organizations, in banks. Well, they're mostly banks or finance companies, right? So that's where the big disconnect begins, because that quants don't really do that type of work, right? It's kind of different. Hey, Sadan. Sadan says hi with a wave. Hey, Sadan, nice to see you. Welcome back. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, 619. Maybe you missed that part, but that was what we were doing towards the end yesterday. But yeah, but to your point there, 619. The whole reason we have an open format is because we never know where the conversation is going to go, and that's a good thing. I think that's fun, right? But yeah, that was a good conversation. I actually clipped it yesterday, so you'll see some of those clips come across my YouTube channel and my Instagram. But yeah, it was a good conversation. Good conversation indeed. Sedant says, thanks for the realistic guidance. Yeah, you're welcome, Sedant. Hey, that's why I'm here, right? I'm the guy that gives you the real truth. And I give you the real truth because I've been there, right? I've done data science projects. I've led data science teams. I've been a chief data scientist. So I give you guys the straight truth. There's no motivation for me to lie to you guys. I care about the profession of data science. So I want to help build the next generation of data scientists in a positive way. So that's what I do. I give you guys the real view, right? And I think the biggest real view that I also want to give people is that it takes time to be a good data scientist, right? It takes time to be a good data scientist. So put in the work, put the work into becoming a good, solid data professional, and everything you want will come behind that. 619 says, today I have a question again. Yeah, great. Have you ever felt behind in your career, and how did you deal with it? Yeah, it's a good question. And you know what, 619? Um, that feeling is exactly what led me to become a data scientist. that feeling is what kind of got me to realize that what I was doing wasn't that great. Like I wasn't passionate about it. So what I'm referring to there is, when I was a software engineer, like it was always a good paycheck, and I'm okay at software engineering. I can hold my own. But I remember I had this friend, and they were like really into software engineering, and particularly Microsoft. So they would like go to all the conferences, they would read all the books, they would get all the certifications. What was the certification? I think in the early 2000s it was the MCSD, right? Microsoft Certified Software Developer, I think. I think that, yeah, like that was like the big certification, right? Like if you could get an MCSD, that was like huge, right? So like he would go after that, and like an MCSD is not like one test, it's like a series of tests. So it's like a big thing to get it. So he would like go and like study for the test and pass them, and he knew all the latest patches and the latest tools. Like he was really passionate about it, right? And he made me feel behind in that regard because like like I would look at him and I'd be like, I have no interest in doing that. Like why is he doing that? Like I didn't get it, and that did make me feel behind. And that's kind of like where it started, where I thought, like, is this really for me? Like seeing how passionate he was about it and how not passionate I was like, wow, like I don't know, like it made me think about that, right? Like it did make me feel behind. And then the last software development job I had was working at IBM. This was the third time I worked for IBM, and I was working for one of their product teams, and I was working in Java, which I absolutely hated, and I was surrounded by other software developers who were really good at Java, like they were excellent at Java. And I'm okay at Java, but it's definitely not my strongest language, and it's it's definitely not my preferred language. But like they were like really good at Java, like super good at Java, right? Which, by the way, is like, I'm saying that to give them their respect, but I mean, being super good at Java is like, being the world's tallest midget, right? Like, who cares, right? But they were very good. So again, that was another situation where I thought, like, do I really want to be doing this? Like, these guys are like so good at Java, and like I don't desire to be that good at Java, right? So I hope that makes sense, 619. But what I'm saying is that I was behind, but I didn't like necessarily want to catch up either. Like I didn't want to become the world's tallest midget, right? So yeah, I mean, but those thoughts, those feelings is what led me to like do that soul searching and say, you know what, I really don't want to do this for the rest of my life, right? Because this was all like in my early 30s, maybe, yeah, something like that. So like I figured, like I'm still a young guy, like I'm still like 20, 30 years away from retirement, and I don't want to do this for the next 20, 30 years, right? So yeah, so I have felt behind 619, but it was a good thing. It was a good thing because that got me to like, oh, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Oh, okay, let me read this book, and then, oh, okay, that book made me think about my passions, and here's what I really want to be doing, right? So yeah, I have felt behind, but it was a net, it was a positive experience. So I hope that helps, 619. But you got me curious though. What prompted that question? Because you're a young guy, right? You shouldn't feel behind at all in anything you're doing. I mean, I don't know if you're kind of asking that because it's something also happening in your life, but you're a pretty young guy. Don't feel behind. You still got plenty of years and experience ahead of you. So I hope you're not asking that because you're feeling behind. That would stink, for somebody at your age to say that. I would feel bad. I would feel bad for you. So let me know, 619, if that's why you asked that. Siddhant says, for software devs, there are rounds of DSA. But how do data scientists get hired? ChatGPT says the learning curve is steeper for data science. What do you think they are, as you have done both? Um, well, again, Siddhant, I want to make sure that when people are asking this, they're not asking this to pass interviews. Because remember, Siddhant, if you're focused on passing interviews, you've lost. Like, stop, you've lost, right? Like, we should all be trying to focus on becoming good data professionals, right? Like, that's the goal. You're trying to get ready for your first day on the job, not to pass an interview. So Siddhant, I would ask you that. Like, are you ready, not for an interview, but are you ready for your first day on the job? Like, how many how many EDAs have you done? How many studies, like data science studies, have you read in the last year? How many how many survey results or infographic results have you read in the last year? Right? I mean, those are the questions, that all of us should really be asking, right? Like, if I ask somebody that and they say, "Oh, well, I've done, you know, five EDAs, three of them were for school, two were things I just did like in an afternoon because I had nothing better to do." Well, that's not somebody who's prepared for the job. And why are you not passing the interviews? Because you're not prepared for the job, right? Like it all feeds into each other. Like, you see where I'm going with that? Like, stop worrying about what they ask in interviews. Start asking if you're ready for the job of being a data scientist. I mean, that's really what you want, right? You don't want to succeed in interviews. You want to succeed at the job. You want to build a career. You want to build your reputation. You want to be a respected professional. I mean, that's what you really want, right? So don't worry about the job. Don't worry about the interview or, oh, they asked this question, they asked that question. Worry about becoming a good data professional, right? Now, as far as the learning curve in each career, I don't know. It depends. Because there's no such thing as a single software engineer, right? I mean, are you working on embedded systems? Are you working front end? Are you doing back end? Are you doing API work? Right? Like, like, it's hard to say because there is no one software engineer, right? Pet Live Matters. Pet Live Matters, welcome. I think it's your first time here. Nice to see you. Welcome. Hangout. This is our data roundtable where we talk about any topic that we want. Pet Live Matters says, what are some books to help in that regard? Pet Live, tell me more. Which topic are you talking about? I covered a couple of topics. Happy to recommend books, but let me know what topic specifically. 619 says, some of my friends are so good at machine learning and it looks like they have it all figured out, but I still struggle with just starting building something simple. I'm super passionate about this, but feeling behind somehow makes me feel bad. Okay, all right. Well, I mean, look, you have a long road ahead of you, right? I mean, you're still a young guy. I'm pretty sure you said you were still in high school, so don't feel behind. Don't feel behind. You're just on a different learning curve than they are, right? And also, I mean, be careful on thinking that somebody has things figured out. Just because you did a YouTube tutorial or just because you wrote some code doesn't mean that you're good at data science. There's a lot that goes into data science, right? I mean, you referenced yesterday's conversation, and you've heard some of my other content about how it's a people business, right? So be careful with that. Don't think that just because they have this that they're ready. That could be far from the case, right? So don't worry. You're doing just fine, right? We tend to be very hard on ourselves, right? We tend to be very critical of ourselves, and things are never as poor as you think they are, right? Or as you would build in your mind for it to be, right? So hang in there. You're probably not behind. You're still here, you're still learning, you're still building your skills, and that counts for something. So just keep on coming back, keep on, doing what you can, and you'll be just fine. Okay, so Pet Lives Matter said that they were referring to data science specifically. So Pet Lives Matters, if you want the technical side of data science, there is a book called Introduction to Statistical Learning. That's considered like the Bible of data science, data science at a serious level. And then if you want more of like the practical side of it, there's a book called Doing Data Science. It's written by two authors, but one of them I'm pretty sure is Catherine O'Neill. So those are the two books that I would recommend. But Doing Data Science kind of helps you understand the more like day-to-day side of data science, I guess you could say. Yeah. Siddhant says, "How can we master that? You said that you said a data scientist requires." So Siddhant, I think that the best mastery comes from being able to take the initiative from what you know and applying it on your own. Right? Like, I think that everybody out there who is on a data science journey or data science learning path should be able to reach a stage where they say, okay, I know enough where I'm going to go out, get my own data, and start working. So that's what I think is the best way for that mastery you're describing there, Siddhant. So that's why I ask you, like, how many EDAs have you done, right? Because like that tells me, like, are you putting in the work? Are you like kind of like exploring on your own, right? Siddhant says, can you recommend books to get started with? Yeah, so Siddhant, I think that you already have a little bit of experience, so if you haven't done it already, the Introduction to Statistical Learning book is where you want to be, right? It is very, very rare to find a professional data scientist, like a real data scientist, who hasn't read that book. Like all the idiot influencers that you see online, they don't even know that book exists because they've never been a data scientist, right? But I guarantee you that anytime you're in a professional setting, that book is very common. I remember that last year I had dinner with a director at a very large bank here in the US. We had dinner here in Las Vegas. And I was telling him about my streaming, and I was just going to start my class on the Introduction to Statistical Learning because I live streamed that class. And I said, oh yeah, I'm getting ready to teach the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. And he immediately said, oh, the yellow book. Like he knew, right? Like everybody knows. Everybody who does data science at a professional level knows that book. So if you want that book, definitely... if you want a good starting point, you definitely want to go through that book. Or you can also, on my YouTube, you can find the series I did because I did a learning series on that, right? So you can sit through that series too. Siddhant says, author Siddhant, Google is your friend. Google is your friend. 619 says, thank you for the advice. I always try to think like you, but having someone in the classroom who always training some models looking complex discourage me. No, don't do that. Don't do that, my friend. So there's a saying in the US, right? Comparison is the thief of joy, right? If you constantly compare yourself to other people, like, it's not going to lead anywhere positive, right? So don't do that. You're just on a different journey. That's all. That's all. Just because somebody has something complex, who cares, right? I mean, maybe you're just better at presentations. Maybe you'll be better at explaining the work you've done. Maybe companies don't want complexity. They want something straightforward that they can understand, right? I mean, I would much rather work with a data scientist who has people skills or soft skills rather than being able to write complex code, right? So don't worry about that. Don't let comparison, steal your joy, right? I mean, just their work really has no effect on you. You're still doing what you can and progressing how you can. So don't let that affect you. That rarely leads to something that's positive, right? You just got to take a pause, say, "Hey, I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna do my own ideas, my own projects. It might take me a little longer, but it's my own work. But it's my own work. It's how I did it, and I'm still learning." So don't you worry, 619. You know, you're putting in extra work by coming into this, so you're gonna be just fine. But don't let other people steal your joy. That's never a positive thing, right? Never a positive thing. Siddhant says, "What would you look for in a candidate if you were the interviewer?" Well, I have been the interviewer. Um, Confidence is important, right? Because if you can show me confidence, that means that you've done the work, right? The people that are hesitant in their answers just don't have the experience, right? Because most people who have had good experience and have done the work are pretty confident people. So that's the first thing I would tell you, right? That confidence counts for a lot. Um, I'm also looking for people that can explain things, right? So that's why I'm a big advocate of walking into an interview with your own work and be able to talk about them, right? Show me that you can present your own work to me. That's a very positive thing, right? Because remember, guys, in some of the conversations I've had, maybe I haven't said this directly, but in a lot of situations in data science, you're going to be asked to justify your work, like justify your approach, your results. Why do we even have a data scientist? What are you doing here? Like you're going to have to justify a lot of what you do on a consistent basis, right? So being able to stand up in front of people and say, "Hey, this is me, this is my work, and these are the results that we're getting." Being able to do that um, in a confident way on a consistent basis, that's a huge skill, right? Huge skill. So those are the types of things I would look for, Satan. And also, I assumed you meant entry level. If it's not an entry level position, I might look for a couple of different things. Maybe some leadership qualities, maybe a little bit on the domain side. But I was assuming kind of like an entry level position in your question. But that's what I would tell you. But again, Siddhant, I think you're overly focused on the interviews. Just focus on becoming a good data professional, somebody who really knows data. If you do that, everything else will come. If you do that, you won't have to worry about passing interviews, right? Soft skills can be manipulated. What technical skills would you look? What do you mean by soft skills can be manipulated? What do you mean by that? Help me understand what you mean by that. Yeah, you got me a little bit curious there. Let me know in the chat what you mean by that. But again, Siddhant, I mean, confidence, storytelling, etc., just faking? No, no. That is 100% incorrect. That is 100% incorrect. People can think that they're faking it, but a competent interviewer will 100% catch that. Yeah, yes. Siddhant, I love you, buddy. I appreciate your support, but I think you're taking a completely, your view on this is way off base, my friend. You're overly worried on the interviews. How can I trick the interviewer? What are the keywords I need in my resume? Stop. Become a good data professional. You can't pass the interviews because you're not a data professional. If you were a data professional, the interviews are the last thing on your mind, right? Because, hey, this is my chosen field. I've worked on my craft. Like, the interview is just like a step you have to go through. It's not something to pass or to fake through, or like you're unwilling to see the bigger picture here, Sadat. And you cannot fake soft skills. You can think you're faking soft skills, but the experienced interviewers will catch you 100% of the time. You can think you're faking it, but it kind of makes you look foolish, right? So, Sadat, you're not taking the broader view. Work on your craft, and then the interview, you won't even care. 619 says, thanks for the encouragement. And what skills and experience should I obtain in college to land a job? So 619, I think we talked about this, didn't we? Or maybe it was a different person that asked that. But I'll give you the same advice I gave before. Is, can you put yourself in a position to not have to get a technical degree in college? That's what I would do. I mean, it sounds like you're on that path, right? Because it sounds like you're already doing some programming or some data science in school, which is great. So if you can say, well, look, because this is what I did, by the way, because I went to a technical high school. And I said, well, look, I got a pretty good base in programming. I know enough to, get my own compilers and just kind of like work on my own programs at home, right? So that's why I got a business degree. So that's what I would tell you, 619. Can you leave high school with enough technical skills to tutor yourself while you go to college and get like a accounting degree or a finance degree or marketing or political science or something else, right? That's what I would do. Because if you can graduate with like a finance degree or a political or public affairs or public health, I don't know if that interests you. If you can graduate like a public health degree and you have some data science skills, you can program a couple of things, that's a dangerous combination. You're going to be in a really good spot, right? So that's what I would tell you, 619. Can you now, while you are in high school, can you put yourself in a position to not have to get a technical degree in college and get something else in college? If you do that, that's like, you're going to be in a real good spot. That would be a real good spot to be in. So let me know what you think about that. But 619, I think that's something that I would, that's what I would advise you if you were coming to me for that. Manoj, our good friend Manoj says, hello, Sir Dennis. Greetings from Bangalore. How are you, Manoj? Nice to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well out there in Bangalore. Hopefully I hope your air conditioning is working and staying inside just like Mother Nature wants us to, because it is so hot. I'm sure it is hot as heck in India. But thanks for being here, Manoj. Glad to see you. Oh gosh. Siddhant says, I thought once I get into an MNC, everything will become clear. No. Siddhant, no, that's, you can, Siddhant, you would have a very, very short career in a company like that if you're not prepared. If you're saying, hey, all I have to do is pass the interview and get into the company and then everything will become clear, you'll be fired in a month. Like, they're not going to keep you around. You'll be gone in a month. Pet Life Matters says, thank you so much for this chat. Love your channel. Oh, thanks so much, Pet Life Matters. Yeah, I think it's your first time attending, so thank you so much for stopping by. I really love seeing people stop by because my analytics say that if somebody watches, they're going to keep on coming back. So feel free to come back. Happy to have you anytime, and anything we can help you with, just let me know. Siddhant says, I think the earlier we get clarity in life, smoother our path will be. Yeah, but you're defining clarity in the wrong way, my friend. Like, I feel like from our conversation, you think clarity is being able to fool someone in an interview. That's not clarity. Clarity is being good at your job. Clarity is being good at your craft, right? So I think that you're defining clarity in a completely different way. But being inside the company walls is not going to make it any easier. I mean, Sadan, I think you might have been here yesterday. If I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, right? But as I've said before, like, what are you going to do on your first day? Let's take away the interview process, right? On your first day, let's we'll magically assume that you got a job. On your first day, they're going to give you a nice desk. They're going to give you a nice brand new computer. They're going to give you the database password, and there's going to be no one around to help you. Your boss is not a technical boss. There's no professor there to give you a project idea. There's no Kaggle to tell you what model to use. And your boss is going to say, you're going to present in front of the executives in 2 weeks. Show us something. That's not too far off from some of the situations that I've seen, that I've experienced and that my clients are in, right? My coaching clients. What are you going to do, Sadat? You got 2 weeks before a presentation in front of the execs. What are you going to do? Right? What are you going to do? That's not going to be clarity. There's nobody around to help you. You're the only data scientist on the team. What are you going to do? Manoj says, if it's magical, I don't want that job. Yeah, maybe. Who knows, right? I mean, some data science work is better than none, right? Oh, no. Sadan says, figure it out based on what's required. No, Sadan, no. This is not a I'll figure it out later scenario. No, you already should know. Like that's what I'm telling you, Sadan. You're not a data professional. That's why you don't know how to respond in that scenario. Sadan, I love you, buddy, but I think you need to step back and take an entire view of your entire review of your understanding of how you're going to go about building this career. It's not about passing the interview. It's about being 100% ready to go on your first day. Let me go back here. 619 says, I'm not sure what domain I'm interested in aside from data science and mathematics this time. So I don't know, will business major be suitable for me? Well, look, I'm just using business as an example. I mean, maybe you like public health. Maybe you like politics. Maybe you want to do, and business, you could do a lot of things. You can get an accounting degree, finance, marketing, international business, banking. What else is there? I think that might be it. So it's not just like, oh, I don't want to run a company. There's a lot of things. You can get an accounting degree. Accounting degree, you'll learn about a little bit about business, but it's not quite that, right? So I'm just using it as examples. My point is, don't think that you have to get a technical degree. You're probably better served by a non-technical degree, no matter what it is, right? Obviously, go to school, get a degree, right? Get something. But I think that you are best served by not having to get a computer science degree or by not having to get a data science degree. That's really what I'm saying. So pick your domain, pick whatever you want. But it sounds like, you're at a technical school, you're doing some projects now. So if you have that base to work from, use it to your advantage. Because to me, you're throwing away that advantage if you already have some technical skills and then you go to college and get a technical degree. Like, what have you gained, right? So get a little bit of the opposite side of it, is what I'm trying to tell you. So I hope that makes sense, 619. But, I mean, you sound like you were on a similar path to what I did, where I knew enough when I graduated high school that I thought, okay, well, look, I can go home and I can reinstall everything I had in my high school lab, and I could just do this on my own after hours on the weekend while I study something, something else in college during the day, right? And that helped me a lot because then I was able to graduate with a business degree and I had programming skills. So that's kind of what I'm trying to suggest to you, 619. But yeah, it doesn't have to be business. Do whatever you like. Manoj says, I respect the data. I love the real world problems. Feels like data science is everywhere. All right, cool, Manoj. See, Manoj, that to me sounds like the right attitude and the right track. Because as I've said before, I really worry when people who graduate with a data science degree and then they say, oh, but I don't have a project idea. Like, how do you not have project ideas? Like if you did your studies and like are like paid attention, like the world should look so different to you. Like when I started learning about numbers and like distributions and standard deviation, I like the way I looked at the world like changed, right? Like project ideas are everywhere as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I hear you, Manoj. Like you take a completely different view to everything you hear, everything you see, So yeah, I hear you on that. So it worries me when people say, "Oh, I need an idea for my master's thesis." It's like, really? Like you've been studying data science for the last 2, 3 years, and I would be swimming in ideas if I was going down that road. Like I'd have 30 ideas. I have too many ideas, right? And you don't have one? Like did you not attend your classes? Were you copying off people? Like, yeah, but Manoj, I hear you, man, 100%. So Siddhant says, no matter how good a product is, if it's not marketed or reaches the right people, it's just crap. I just wanted to ask, how do I get a right job for taking data science bootcamp or after learning on my own? Guys, is my microphone not working? Hello, hello, hello. Siddhant, I'm telling you what the answer is, but you're refusing to take a step back and re-examine yourself. The problem is that you're trying to pass the interviews. The problem is you're trying to go from a boot camp to, oh, I'm ready to go work. You haven't put in the work, buddy. You haven't earned it yet. You haven't developed your craft. I'm telling you what the problem is. Like, Siddhant, I said this yesterday. Even after I did my academic studies and even after I made the commitment to data science, I didn't apply right away. I went through my own learning process. I did 50 EDAs. I wrote maybe 10 to 12 articles from those EDAs that became like full studies that I did completely on my own. I did all of that before I even thought about having a data scientist resume. Like I didn't even have a data science resume at the time. I didn't consider myself that. And here you're saying, oh, I took a 10-week boot camp. I'm ready to go interview. Like, no. Like you haven't done the work. And that's why those interviews aren't going well. I'm telling you what the answer is. I don't know why you don't want to, you don't want to believe that. Which, by the way, kind of speaks to your data science skills because a data scientist should be open to new information. You can't just be set in your ways and say, oh, this is the algorithm. I'm going to go here and we're going to move forward. And this is, sorry about that, guys. And this is what we're doing. And this is how, you can't do that. You got to be open to new information. New information can change your study, can change your approach, right? So, I don't know, Siddhant. When I talk to my clients, I talk to them in terms of probabilities. I give you a low probability of success with the path that you're on. Low probability of success. Manoj says a technical and business mindset is deadly combinations. Yeah, I agree, Manoj. Yeah, so 619. I mean, if you can graduate college with your own technical skills and you also have like a degree in whatever, right? It doesn't have to be business, but just something. That's dangerous, man. You're gonna be so good. You're gonna be so good and just like you would graduate college with a lot of options, right? And that's really what you want to do, right? You want to create options after college. You don't want to say, "Oh, I got a computer science degree, so now I got to go be a software engineer." That's limiting, right? So yeah, I agree there, Manoj. Siddhant says, "What step did you take to transition from software dev to data scientist?" Um, Manoj, I'm only going to answer if you're actually going to follow these steps, man, because I don't know if you're willing to actually do it. Okay, but I'll walk you through it again. So I decided that I wasn't passionate about software engineering. Good paycheck, but I didn't like it. I wasn't having fun, right? So I thought, okay, cool. I really like numbers. I really like probabilities, and I really like code. I'm gonna be a data scientist. So from there, Siddhant, I had to be honest with myself, and I said, well, look, I don't have a data science resume, and I would probably be terrible at the job. So what do I need to beef up my resume? Well, I need academic classes. I don't have the academic grounding to be a data scientist. So that's the first thing I did. I went out and I got some formal academic, not boot camps, not Coursera, not tutorials on YouTube. I went out and I took some academic courses at one of the top statistics programs here in the US. I studied at Penn State. Penn State is one of the top statistics programs. Some people call it the number one statistics program in the US. So I did some studies there. That was a year and a half, maybe 2 years, something like that. Can't remember. From there, I thought, great. I love the courses. It confirmed that data science was for me. Like, this is what I want to be doing. But then I thought, okay, but I have zero practical skills. If I were to do freelancing or if I were to go to an interview, they would probably eat me alive. I'm not very good on the practical side. So from there, Wednesdays and Thursday afternoons at 2 p.m., I would go to a coffee shop and I would sit there until they kicked me out at closing time. And I would sit there and I would just do studies over and over again. Anytime I read an article, I would bookmark it and say, oh, that article has a good study. Let me save that for later. Let me go. And I would go and I would read the article, and then I would read the study, and then I would read the raw data that powered the study, and I would do my own work. I would sit there and I would do that over and over again. And just to show you how crazy I was about it, I did it at a Starbucks. And I would sit there until they kicked me out. And Starbucks is everywhere, right? And this Starbucks that I went, they would kick me out at 8 p.m. because that's when they closed. And I found another Starbucks that was, kind of like in the same distance, but they were open until 9. So I switched going to the other Starbucks because that would give me an extra hour of study. Like, that's how committed I was. I actually switched because I could get that extra hour twice a week by doing that. And during this time, nobody's paying me, right? I'm not putting out resumes. I'm not talking to recruiters. This is me just putting in the work. And I did that for like 8-10 months, something like that. And like I said, I estimate that I did about 50 EDAs during that time. I would do them, I would sit there and I would do them in R, and then I would start all over again and I would do them in Python. Just work on your craft. Like, that's me just sharpening the saw, right? I'm just sharpening the saw this time. No paycheck, no clients, nothing. And then I started writing articles about data science, right? To kind of showcase my analysis. And then I just started just kind of building from that. So Siddhant, if you want the answer, that's what I did. So from that decision of like, yeah, I'm going to leave software engineering and go data science, to like actually talking to recruiters and putting out my resume, 2 years. 2 years. But it required me to be honest with myself and say, like, wait a minute, like, I'm not ready for an interview. My resume does not read like a data scientist resume. I had a good resume. I had worked for a lot of companies, but it wasn't a data scientist resume. It was a software engineer resume. It was a consultant resume. Right? So Sadan, that's why, I don't mean to pick on you, buddy, but I do sometimes come down a little bit harder on people to ask that question because they want to do it in like 3 months or 6 months. Like very, very low probability of success. Very, very low. Noel, thank you for coming, Noel. I think it's your first time. So Noel says, develop your craft, get projects under your belt, build a portfolio to showcase your capabilities, and learn how the work is applicable. Write articles for LinkedIn audience. Yeah, Noel. I like that formula. I think you're on the right track with that. Thanks for being here, Noel. 619 says, and may I ask, what does business major teach you? Is it like about how to build a company, stuff like that? Some aspects of it are, sure. But it's also about HR, it's also about law, it's also about a little bit of accounting, a little bit of marketing. So yeah, that's definitely parts of what it teaches you. Oh, there's also some economics involved, right? Understanding macroeconomics, mostly microeconomics, a little bit of management, a little bit of like project management, or what do you call it? What's that? Process management. So it's a little bit of all those things. 619. Manoj says that's super crazy. Awesome. You think that's crazy? Yeah. I mean, I guess in retrospect, when I tell that story, I can understand why that sounds crazy, Manoj. But honestly, in that moment, like when I was doing it, it didn't feel crazy at all because I was being honest with myself. I was being honest. I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, you may want to be a data scientist, but like, are you ready? And I had to be honest enough to say, no, I'm not. Right? So, like, I guess in retrospect, it is kind of like crazy. Like I can't believe I put in all that work. But another thing too, Manoj, is that as I've told you guys before, it speaks to the passion, right? Because when you're doing things from passion, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not crazy, right? It's not crazy to you. I get it. From the outside, it does look crazy. But for me, it's like, this is not work, right? Like, I haven't worked in a long time because I love this stuff. Like, I love working with my clients now, right? That's not work. That's just fun. I mean, I get to sit here and talk data science all day, and people pay me. Like, that's amazing. This is what I wanted, right? Like I've been building up to this. Like, I love this. Like, I'm doing what I love, and people send me money for that. Like, what? like crazy, right? So in the moment, it didn't feel crazy because I was honest and because I wanted it, right? Like, yeah, I guess it does sound crazy to say, oh, I went to a different Starbucks because they would kick me out an hour later. But in the moment, like, I really wanted that hour. Like, I didn't want the time to end, right? I wish they were open at 24 hours. I'd be there 24 hours, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's just the way I feel about it, do we, Siddhant says, do recruiters require one to be a software developer before becoming a data scientist? That's what most JDs say on LinkedIn. I don't know, maybe. But Siddhant, I would ask you, why are you reading JDs, right? The question is not, what do the JDs say? The question is, why are you reading JDs? Right? Like, like, Siddhant, if you think about everything I just said, right? Because you asked me what my path was, right? And I just said, right? Like, how do you think I should reply when somebody also in the same chat has asked me for a basic introduction book and then they also ask about JDs. Like, you get it? Like, if you're asking me for basic introduction books, you are like 2 to 3 years away from even thinking about JDs. Like, I don't get it, right? Like that literally doesn't compute. Siddhant says, I'm planning to do MS in data science. I just love insights from data and data-driven decision making. Okay, well, focus on that, right? Focus on building that craft, right? Like, what does it mean to make data-driven decisions? Because I'd much rather have you ask questions on that rather than JDs or how do I pass an interview or I'll figure it out on my first day. Like that's terrible, right? But if you're asking about how do I build my craft for data-driven decisions, that's a completely different conversation, and that's probably a little bit more appropriate to where you are now, right? But I hope you can understand like how weird it is for me to hear in the same conversation recommendations for basic books and then also recommendations about JDs. Like you shouldn't even care. Right? All right, guys. So thank you so much for the great conversation. I'm going to switch over to Instagram, so you're welcome to join me there. But as always, this is the Data Roundtable. We are going to be doing this every day. 619 says good night. Good night to you too, my friend. Thanks for all the questions. Don't get discouraged, guys. 619, keep going, my friend. You're a smart guy. Just keep doing you, man. What other people are doing has zero effect on you. Control what you can control, okay? But as always, guys, please, it's a dynamic world out there. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. And I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm going to see you tomorrow in the vertical format. I like the way today went. So we'll try the vertical again tomorrow. I'll see you then, guys.